Yeah.
Yeah, your thought process, your critical thinking skills, how you're going to do
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how well you're going to take ownership of it.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I
I've heard
also
that.
I also want to add that add something to that because like you said in 30 minutes you can't do much, but when you can do is you can make the person feel good about themselves. So there's
Mm,
something from this a series of books called Feeling Good and Feeling Great. They talk about the five secrets of communication. And so one of them is empathy, so like relating with another person, but another one is they call it stroking. And it's basically just like you're stroking the person's ego
yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're going to be in an interview with somebody who essentially has an ego because they're
High up
higher up in
there.
the company. They're the
Yeah.
hiring person. And if you
Yeah.
take a liking to them, if you take an interest in them and you stroke their ego, they're going to feel so good. And then they're going to be like, I like this guy because he makes me feel
Yeah.
good. That's different than all these other people who are trying to get me to stroke their ego. He actually stroked mine and, you know,
Well, so that's a
have a
really
Enough of the
good
stroke
point
off.
stroking
too.
here, dude.
It's an old
But
game.
that
It's
is
an
a really
old
good
game.
point though, because you have to, that also shows initiative. Like you took the time to figure out who your interviewer was, and then
Yeah.
you went and looked them up and figured that out. You know what I
But
mean? Like, and found talking points basically.
this is also
Yeah.
why, though, going to meetups, going to these things is a good
Mhm.
idea because it's going to
Yeah.
prep you for talking to strangers, for interacting with others where you have no information ahead of time.
Yeah.
And just
Exactly.
being able to communicate, because I think that's another thing a lot of developers struggle with. And people are coming at this from a lot of different fields, but that communication skills, those social skills, working on them is also crucial, I think, to land that job and to just be anything in this industry at all.
Yeah. I've seen just in React Miami and uh, Wednesday's meetup, just the immense amount of value in building your local community, right? Because
Yep.
that's something I've talked a lot about too is a lot of developers want to go from a boot camp or just self-teaching to getting like this high level remote job. And that's probably not very likely because companies have a lot of choices when it comes to remote work, right? They can choose anybody all over the world, right?
Mhm.
But if they need somebody to come into an office, they have a limited supply of developers, right? There's only so many people around a certain area that can drive into an office. And so if you can build yourself up or like, just be a figure, like somebody that exists in this local community, you're going to have a lot better chances of landing a job. And that doesn't mean you can't work remote in the future, but your best chance of that first job, which is typically the hardest, is just, going to an actual office. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with this. Sorry, my dogs came in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. Like, you have to. It's about building relationships. It's about building a rapport with these people, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're going to be more inclined to refer you, for a position. Like, I know we have one guy. He literally has never applied to a job. He has gotten all of his developer jobs
Just
just
from
through
people.
connections.
Yeah. That's
Never
crazy.
even had to go through the interview process because
Yeah.
he has such strong rapport with the people, and they know exactly what he can do, what he's about, without even like doing a 30-minute interview, right?
Yeah. And I think that's also a good point that you just made. You made me think about this is like when you go to these meetups, you start talking to people in technical terms. Like you ask them questions about their tech stack and how they got started and like what they're working on. And that's like a great preparation for actually going into an interview, right? If you're just going into
Yep.
it like, hey, I've only been to a boot camp and that's all I know, you're really at a disadvantage when you start talking to people and you're like, hey, these are the types of things that people are interested in. This is what people are working on. Like I was blown away, honestly, when we went to React Miami by how many people were using Cursor. I thought it was like gonna be this like taboo thing, like nobody wants to use AI because I watched that Primeagen video, but I was blown away. Like literally every person was like, yeah, I use it like daily, or I exploit it this way, or I do this with it, or whatever. And so you start to see sort of like the nature of where all these people, what they're doing and where they are. And so you're sort of like caught up to like the current tech community, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, because I mean, it is different, right? Like going from a boot camp or just going from projects that you just work on by yourself to
Yeah.
going and working on a team,
Yes.
very different,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
It just naturally is, right? Because you don't have like with your side projects, unless you are very like structured with it, you don't have time constraints, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to have a deployment that's going to be out in a week. You don't have to like
Yes.
push it through a QA process and then have it tested and then deployed to different environments, right?
Yeah.
And have multiple levels of testing or hot fixes and all this kind of like things that come with the full like SDLC, so software development lifecycle,
Mhm.
right? Where you go from user story to design to architecture to coding it to testing it and then deploying it and then going through again, right? Like
Yep.
it's just different. So the more you can experience that, the more you can learn through that through other people, the better,
Yeah.
because then you're more prepared for
I
it.
think that's
Yeah,
actually
it's
one of the
huge.
interesting ways too, and we've seen some of the people in our group using AI for this too, is that you can use it to kind of do some of that design stuff and create user stories and all, and get a
Yeah.
larger sense of that whole
The
design
bigger picture.
cycle
Yeah.
and software, development cycle, which is kind of
Exactly.
cool because it can kind of prep you a little bit for what to expect with a team. It's like almost like having a teammate in a way, which
Yeah,
is kind of nice.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
just a heads up, guys. We're already
Yeah,
going.
I
we
know
gotta-
we're way over.
we're way over.
This is, like,
I was
super
just
fun
about
and
to sort of
super-
wrap
yeah.
it
It
up.
is good.
Yeah, I
so-
would love to keep having this conversation. And
great, yeah.
while we're at it, like if you guys enjoyed this conversation, definitely go check out Chris's channel. He is awesome. He makes incredible content. If you're open to it, I think we definitely love to have you back on.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure,
and,
1000%.
yeah.
Find me on LinkedIn too. Like you can
Yeah.
add me. Like you can always talk with me. Like I love just talking with everybody, right? So DM
Yeah.
me. Like we can talk, all that kind of stuff. for
Yeah,
sure.
and
Keep
if you
an eye
guys-
out for Chris's Persona Engineering course coming up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you guys are in South Florida also, like come to some of our events. Chris has, well, not my events. I don't have any events in South Florida, but Chris has Syntax Summit. Do you have like a shout out of where people can find information about that, or is it
A
just
lot of it's going to be on
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn,
Cool.
honestly. Yeah. So a bunch of it's going to be on LinkedIn. We do like a developer kind of workshop.
Yeah.
We tried to combine. So most like the networking events down here, or most of the events, I should just say, are more geared for networking, right? Which is great. It has its place. But there's this other layer that we try to add into it. So we do an hour of networking, and then we do like an hour workshop. So it's like hands on the keyboard. Let's learn something, because
Yeah,
when you
it's
learn with like
awesome.
a community and a group of people, you learn so
Dude,
much
and it's
more,
like
right?
fun, and I
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
laughing the
It's
whole
interactive.
time. Yeah, super interactive. People were like shouting stuff out, and you also had it sponsored by MongoDB and Tesla.
Yeah.
So huge giveaways. We all got MongoDB credits. Some people got 24-hour Tesla test drives, tickets to the AI Summit down in Miami this weekend. So pretty amazing. Like these are the things that happen when you go to networking events. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think next month we're gonna have more Mongo. I think we're having a MongoDB advocate gonna talk about like
Mhm.
vector database and embedding and
I'm
stuff like
super
that
psyched
with
for that.
AI.
Nice.
And then I think Storyblock is gonna be coming on, and even giving away some conference tickets to the big render Atlanta Tech Week.
nice.
So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks
if
so
you
much for coming
guys
on, man.
have been
Yeah.
watching and want more of a community, we have an online community called the CodeNoobs Inner Circle and Inner Circle Elite. The Inner Circle is basically just a Telegram group where you can get access to us three 24/7. So if you have questions, if you need help with anything, there's a great community inside of there of other developers who are building things, trying to get jobs, things like that. So you can join us. Just go to codenoobs.io. You'll see all the information about that. And if you're in the elite inner circle, then you get access to a 2-hour call after this call every single week. And that's what we're going to do in about 5 minutes. Usually it's like a half hour to 15
let's say
minutes.
in about 15.
Yeah, 15 minutes or so. And Chris is actually going to join us in there for a bit. Maybe the whole thing, maybe not. But if you guys are in there, you'll get access to ask him your own questions and interact with him. So again, thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate it. This was an
awesome. Thank
amazing
you.
conversation. I wish we could go for like another 2 hours, honestly. But
We'll do the Joe Rogan style.
yeah,
Like 3 or
right.
4 hour podcast
Yeah,
just
style.
for
We're all
3-hour
getting high.
podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. But with that, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another one of these. And everyone in the comments, say thank you to Chris for being here, and go check out his channel. It's freaking amazing. He has great content. and he's a smart dude. So do what he did and get yourself your first job as a developer. All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you all in 5 minutes or next week.
Yeah.